but I know, okay, last year you ended at like what was it? 16, 17, whatever in the company?
Oh gosh. I think I was 20 last. Are you talking like what number I was for the end of this
Yeah.
past year?
And then,
Number 20.
and
Yeah.
you're like, I mean, what now? A 20-star diamond? Is that right?
Oh, no. No, not at all. But to give you just some background, I mean, first of all, thank you for asking me to speak to you all. This is just a huge honor. And I admire, obviously, everything Jess does, says, and walks on. So I appreciate that. And you girls are awesome. I've been following you on your Insta stories, and you just seem like such a fun group. So we can be best friends if you want. I mean, I'm always available. So anyway, I just to give you a little backstory. So I started last year as a 1-star diamond coach, and that was my husband. So I built him to diamond. And
I'm going to mute us, Ames, real quick, okay? Go ahead. I didn't mean to.
That's all right. So it was really tough first off, for me to get to diamond. It took a lot longer than I expected or wanted it to, because everyone's like, oh, you just need 4 and 4 and 2 emeralds. Well, I ended up getting 3 emeralds on one leg and no emeralds on the other. So that was really fun. And then trying to get my husband to keep his diamond, that was another struggle, but we did it. And then at the end of last year, I was a 1-star. And then at the end of this year, my husband was a 3-star qualifying, and I was a 7-star diamond. And it was insane. It's insane to look at the growth of not only my team as a whole picture, but each leader on my team individually. And so I honestly, I don't have the secret sauce for it, but I can talk about some of the things that I've done. But I also believe that I have some major go-getter boss babes on my team. And that also could be just from attracting the right type of people to your page and to your call to actions. And so obviously what I have to say today is not anything that you probably haven't heard before, but sometimes it is good to just write everything down and reevaluate what you're doing. And I still continuously reevaluate what I do, because if you're anything like me and you're hearing, post 5 hashtags, no, post 30 hashtags, no, post your hashtags as your comment, no, put it in the actual post. And it's like, all right, what am I actually supposed to be doing here? And for me, I just finally was like, enough is enough. Like, I do appreciate when articles come out and tell me how to oh, hey hey, what's up? How to work the business on Instagram. I love that, but at the same time it's frustrating because I don't feel like Instagram really has an algorithm right now that we can depend on. Like, I don't know what out there I can believe in. So I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing because it's working. And that's what I just keep telling my team to do. So for those of you who don't really know who I am Amy Rada. I'm the CEO of Happy, Healthy, Humble, currently ranked number 13 in the company, which is just crazy. Granted, it's January, and obviously those ranks will all change next month. But it was kind of fun. It was kind of a cool little we continue putting forth. I went to college for my degree in elementary education, and I emphasized in early childhood, and I thought teaching was my passion, and I still believe teaching is my passion. I'm just using it in a different way. So do we have any teachers in the room or past teachers? One. Yay, teaching. And so I just remember going to work. I think I was like 24 years old, and I was dreading it. And I just prayed about it. And I said, you know what, God, this is not how I'm supposed to live my life until I'm 62. I just don't feel like the joy that I know I could have every day. And so, I prayed intentionally about what my purpose was in life. And all of a sudden, I have a stranger reach out to me on Instagram, and that was Jamie Innes. If anyone of you know her, she's from Team Fight to Finish, and she lives in Rockford, Michigan. And I didn't even know you had a message option on Instagram. Like, I was clueless for what even a hashtag was about. I had about 400 followers at the time. I was doing Tone It Up and BBG workouts. I was so inconsistent, going to the gym, roller coaster ride, but I would post some of my sweaty selfies just because I needed accountability for myself. So basically it was just like posting, I didn't even know what I was posting. And she found me somehow creepily. And she messaged me, and I remember I was running on the treadmill because that's what I did. I thought that was really the only way that you could see results, was to burn countless calories on the treadmill and run tons of miles. And I remember her asking me about my health and fitness journey and, engaging in the conversation. She asked if I'd ever be interested in hearing more about what she does as a coach. And at the time I was, planning my wedding, just got my graduate degree in elementary education. So just spent another $27,000, because when you're losing sight of your purpose, I mean, why not go to grad school, right? It's like, it was so dumb. So anyway, I just graduated, which is a huge accomplishment. Yes. However, whatever. And I was just, at that time also, I was going through a lot of health battles. So I was in and out of hospitals, missing a lot of work, couldn't figure out my digestive tract. And I was eating good foods and it was going right through me. So then I would binge eat on the crappy foods because I was so frustrated and depressed. And it was such a terrible, I look back and I'm like, holy cow, I'm glad we made it through that little wave of life, because it truly was a godsend that Jamie reached out to me. And even though I told her no 3 times, she reached out to me 3 separate times and I told her no each time, there was a purpose, and she definitely planted the seed. It's kind of like when you're buying a car or you're looking for cars and you think about a brand that you want, and then you see that car on the road every day, because you're more aware of it. That's kind of what she did. She told me about what she does as a coach and Beachbody, and I'd heard of Beachbody before. And even though I wasn't interested, I started seeing Beachbody everywhere on the infomercials, on my Instagram account. It was like, I couldn't silent it. And so then finally, after feeling another frustration of gaining another 10 pounds and losing 5 and then gaining 15 more, and then I was super bloated and super sick and trying to sweat for the wedding and all this, I was just a mess. I finally said, you know what, when I come home from my honeymoon, I'm going to sign up. And so it was a leap of faith. And I talk about my journey now, how I jumped, because I literally went from this timid little, no, I'm cookie cutter. That's not for me. This will never be a business. It might be something that could help me, but I probably will quit because I've quit every other program that I've started. And so we'll give it a shot. And I asked my husband at the beginning of this journey, I said, can you just give me 3 months? And if I don't drink the Shakeology, and if I don't use the containers, if I'm not working out anymore, we can cancel. And lo and behold, after 1 week of being dedicated and feeling, when you have that bottom part of your life where you're just rock bottom and you have nothing to lose. It's kind of where I was. And sad, because I just got back from my honeymoon. And it's not my life that I was rock bottom at. It was my health that I was rock bottom at. And so my whole mission from the start was to feel better. And I think looking back on starting with 400 followers and now being at 55,000 followers, and I've only been a coach for 2.5 years. So that growth happened within that amount of time. And I truly reflect back. And I think it's because I was so naive to it all. I had no idea what I was doing, you guys. And it's funny because I wanted to be a perfectionist at it. But then at the same time, I was so stubborn because I didn't want to reach out. I didn't want to put myself out there. I didn't want to be vulnerable. And as soon as I started feeling better with Shakeology, and I was actually able to get off my irritable bowel medication that my doctor told me I'd be on for the rest of my life, I was able to get off of that after 2 months. Then it just clicked. Everything clicked. And it was just this point, this turning point in my journey where, if I'm feeling this good, I'm not going to be selfish and hold all of these incredible tools to myself and not share them with the people I love the most. And so everything that I hated doing, the reaching out, the talking about the products, everything like that, I completely threw out the window and just started to share my journey unapologetically, I guess you could say, with everyone. And I remember when I first started, I was like, well, Shakeology, it's really expensive, but I mean, it has so many superfoods and it's really good. It's $4 a day. If you think, and now I'm just yeah, Shakeology, it's, either take it or you're not going to be on my team. No, I'm just kidding. But it's such a crucial aspect and I'm so confident about it. Jeez. I'm just kidding. I'm just so confident about it because that's how passionate about it. So what I've learned along the ride is obviously just letting your passion pour out. And I wake up every morning and I just bleed Beachbody. That's what I tell myself, like bleed Beachbody, and help and inspire as many people as you can. So from that, I made a mission to post 6 times a day. And I was a full-time teacher at this time, so I had to be very intentional about my hours because I wasn't allowed to post technically during school hours. And so I made sure that's before Morning Miracle or Miracle Morning even became a thing, before Zoom call meetings on, in the morning for workouts even became a thing. My husband and I committed to 4 a.m. workouts because we knew that when we got home from work, we were exhausted, and 9 times out of 10, we would look at each other and just end up pouring a glass of wine and call it a day instead of actually encouraging each other to work out. So we knew if we got up at 4 o'clock every day, then we could succeed in our goals. And so that was our mission, and I shared that every single day. And I think people just became so attracted to the fact that, dude, this girl is consistently getting up at 4 a.m. and not just like every other day or whatever. And so people would message me and ask me how and, why. And that started a lot of great conversations. And I remember when Jamie told me, the next step is Diamond, I was like, okay, well, how do I get to Diamond? And I would YouTube every day during my lunch break. So I used to eat in the lounge with my teachers who would, gossip and basically break my heart with negative whatevers. And so now I'm like, why am I doing that? That's a waste of time. I need to utilize every hour of my day. And so I would go into my classroom, close my door and lock it. Whoops. And it's like, do not enter. And I would put on YouTube, like, how to reach out, how to build an Instagram, how to become Diamond, how to build my weak leg. I mean, there's so many amazing videos out there that I was just such a self learner. Like, I just wanted to learn it all. And obviously when you go to learn, you can't apply it all. So you have to figure out who you are as a Beachbody coach and what you want to apply to your business. And I always say, give it a month. Don't just do a week and say it's not working and then try a new thing. You have to really, be consistent and persistent with what you're trying out. And so with Instagram, I remember, okay, this is total type A, and I wonder if any of you can relate to this. But when I buy a fancy, when I buy a really cute journal, Girl Boss or Follow Your Dreams, and it's leather bound and I have pens and it's beautifully color coordinated, it sits on my desk because I don't want to ruin the beauty of it. Anyone else? Like, if I make a mistake in that beautiful notebook, I have to tear the page out and literally rewrite all my notes again just because I had to cross something out. So, side story. That's how anal I am. But I ended up just taking one of those super cheap 79-cent spiral notebooks that one of my kindergartners brought in and crossed off their name and put, Beachbody reach outs. Don't tell their mom. And I would take each page and I would put the date across the top and I would number it 1 through 50. And my goal every day was to reach out to 50 new Instagram handles a day, you guys, a day. And people are like, did you really? And I'm like, yes, I still have the notebook where I could show you proof. This was my journey between Emerald and Diamond because I wanted to hit that rank. Because I understood the momentum that could continue moving forward. And every coach that I bring on, especially in my new coach mentorship groups, I just had one message me today. She goes, I've been posting all week and no one wants to join. And I'm like, that's awesome, but you're going to have to post for 3 months to build credibility. And what you do today, if you consistently do that, you will see the results in 3 months, but you're not going to see it after a week. Sorry, darling. Like, this is where we find out the runners and the go-getters to the people who want something that's going to be quick, because nothing about this business is quick. It has to be started with the momentum. So if you make it your mission that you want to be an elite coach or a premier coach, or I don't know, who's sitting in your room, but a diamond coach, if that is your mission, then you need to 10x your efforts. And that was my mindset going in. So I had the YouTubes playing in the background, and I was on my Instagram account, and I had a 30-minute lunch to scarf down my salad and to reach out to as many Instagram handles as possible. And what I would do, my big target market was teachers, because I knew exactly how they felt. I knew exactly their binge eating habits when we're stressed and all we want to do is drink a bottle of wine after we get yelled at by a parent. And I understood how the lounge was, you know, a trap, because there were always freaking brownies and cookies and everything that you shouldn't be having in that lounge. People would literally bring their leftover Christmas crap and put it in the lounge, and it would always get eaten. That's the saddest thing. Like, it was stale and it was bad, but people would still eat it because it's in front of them. So I would target those teachers who I knew felt the way I felt. And so I would go to, don't tell Katrina and Karina, but I would go to TIU teacher, which is Tone It Up teacher, and I would convert those teachers to come and join my team. And so a lot of my girls are teachers and nurses, because it kind of turned into that category of overworked, underappreciated, and binge ate our feelings. And so I would search that hashtag and I would scroll through photos. And then once I picked out an Instagram handle, I would write down that name on my sheet of paper. I would go to that girl's profile. I would follow her. I would like 5 of her photos. I would comment on 3 of them, and don't just pick the first 5 and 3, because that's kind of creepy. But don't scroll too far down, because then they're like, oh my gosh, what is this girl doing? Like, I posted that last year in October. Who is this creeper? So don't go too far down, but don't just like only invest in the last 5. But I would just kind of go down and I would see what similarities we had. You know, oh, this girl teaches kindergarten too, or she has a dog. She likes wine, bonus, like, let's be friends. And so I would just then message her after I followed, commented, and liked. I would message her and just say, I stumbled upon your account and we have a lot in common. What grade do you teach? Right? And so I would just kind of focus in on teaching and dogs and wine. And then once the conversation got started, I would always ask about, you know, I noticed that you use the hashtag Tone It Up. How long have you done Tone It Up for? I used to do it for 2 years. And then I would say, you know, would you ever be interested in trying out something different? And that's how we just kind of transitioned into a friendly conversation. And I would get them, you know, over into my boot camps or my free groups. I did a lot of free teacher groups, a lot of free, you know, love yourself groups, because I think a lot of women our age need that. But I would talk about the fact of how I loved Tone It Up, because I truly do feel like there's a lot of great things about it. But the one thing it's lacking is Katrina and Karina don't hold you accountable. You know, they're not your coach. They're just basically a celebrity for the program. And you might have a hashtag and you might have a group of Tone It Up girls, but you don't have that community of love and support. And I just felt like a number and not a person. And so I really went into making sure that this girl who maybe also was feeling that way, or was yo-yoing and starting and stopping and having to restart again, I really emphasized the trigger words. And I actually had these words up on my office wall, so I used them as much as possible. I used the words community, accountability, support, sisterhood, friendship, you know, and I had results, you guys. I got results in my first round of the 21-Day Fix Extreme because I followed it to a T. And I was blatantly honest about my IBS issues and my leaky gut and my pooping problems. And people would come out of the woodwork like, oh my gosh, you can't poop either? Like, let's be best friends. And it was just like so many different vulnerable ways that I was just speaking my story out loud. I didn't give a crap what my coworkers said behind my back, because I knew what they were saying was not very kind, but I also knew that where I was going to get me out of this toxic and negative environment. And, you know, my mom was skeptical. My brother was skeptical. My husband was the most skeptical. He didn't sign up with me as my coach until about 3 months later, when I said, give me your social security number or else, you know, like, it was a lay down. So I had a lot of people saying, hey, Amy, be careful. you don't know what creepers are looking at your bathing suit photos. It was just like, you know what? I just have to put my faith in all of this and just be me. I need to stop looking at what Bonnie Engel's doing. I need to stop looking at what Lindsay Matway, I mean, she looks perfect every day. I mean, come on. And here I am talking about poop. So it's like you have to really decide what your brand is, who your people are, and what you're going to talk about, and be relatable. Be relatable and be fun. Oh my gosh, you guys. You know, like when you get the new coaches and you're like mother hen and they're your little chicks and they're just everywhere. And they go on Instagram stories and they're just like, today I had my workout and I just drank pre-workout, and now I'm going to have my post-workout, and then I'm going to have, it's like you have to be captivating. Like you have to be someone that they want to get on Instagram and be like, oh, I need to check Amy's story because she's fun. And so not be obnoxious, which sometimes I am super obnoxious, which sorry, but I'm not sorry because I'm not going to apologize, but I am sorry. But I just like, I want to create, sorry guys. I want to create a page where people look forward to seeing what I have to say. And I made that very, very strategic from the beginning. I wanted people to know what Happy, Healthy, Humble was. I wanted people to know what I represented and what I valued. I wanted people to know that if they saw me on the side of the street, oh, hi, Isaiah. Hi, buddy. I didn't know you were in Florida too. I wanted people to know that if they saw me on the side of the road, they can come up to me and give me a hug. I wanted to be that, well, and let's be honest, half of my followers follow my account for Moose. And so people are like, why doesn't Moose have his own Instagram account? And I'm like, because I lose half of my followers, right? And so it's really just about finding out who you are. I don't really believe in finding your target market, but I do believe in when you find out who you are solid and you stick to that and don't try to, you know, please anybody else, you will attract your target market, or you will find your target market. And if you're not finding your right people, then you need to really take a look at your hashtags. You really need to take a look at your hashtags, because that's the way people are finding you, and that's the way that you most likely are reaching out to people. And so if you have some people coming onto your team and you're like, oh my gosh, this girl is a freaking Eeyore. Like, how did she find me? How did we get connected? And if that's the case, then you really just need to reevaluate what you're putting out there. Is it negative? And if it is, because I try not to live that picture perfect life, because my life is far from perfect. And so I don't want people to think that I have it all together all the time. But I do make sure that when I do post hard posts or, you know, sensitive posts, I have some type of positive spin on it, because I don't want to attract the Eeyores. I don't know if you've ever noticed, but if any of you post about anxiety or depression, then you get people who will come and attract you and try to lay, and it's like, I am not a therapist. I am not your best friend yet. And I don't want to be hearing about your mom's sister's problems. Like, that's not what I'm here for. And so I have to be really careful about when I talk about my depression issues and my anxiety issues, because I want to come off as an inspiration to people who have those issues, not as an outlet for them to feel like they can tell me what's going on in their life. Because if you're not ready to fix it, if you're not going to join my group, then I don't have time to listen to your problems. Out of the kindness of my heart, I mean, that's what therapy is for, and they make the big bucks. So go talk to someone. But I do share a lot of vulnerability, but I always make sure to spin it in a positive manner. Okay, so I don't know if this is, Jessica, what you wanted me to touch on. I feel like I could just talk to you guys for hours. I would love to maybe focus more on direct questions, maybe stuff that you're struggling with that I have been able to find success with.
Okay, so number one, we still obviously think that you're you walk on water. We just think you're awesome, Ames. And and I it's interesting because we've had a lot of talks about Instagram, because a lot of us, our Facebook is changing, right? Like Facebook's changing. And so I I'm going to be honest with you, until like a couple months ago, I didn't really focus nearly as much as I should have on my Instagram because, yeah, my Facebook like page and different stuff have been more of my jam. And so that's that's not only my story within this group. And so, so we've been talking a lot about it, and I think we actually have a lot of questions for you.
Yeah, let's. I'd rather answer specific questions because I feel like the word of teach me about Instagram is so broad. Like
I know.
That could be a 2-weekend long training. So, can I ask who the dude is chilling in the back? Is that your brother?
No, that's Lindsay's husband. So you know Lindsay Stay and Tony Stay? Yeah, that's them.
I love it. I just think it's so cool how there's like a group of women and then there's just, you know.
That's how I roll.
And you actually can't see everybody. There's more people. So, but we're just kind of spread out a little bit. But yeah. So first off, too, the stuff that you said is extremely helpful. Okay, so one of the things that just to kind of kick off the questions, one of the things was actually, Jesse, I'll let you ask it. It's about how you kind of build your followers. Like, do you follow? Go ahead.
So like Jen Richardson teaches, like, you can go in and follow a bunch of people that are your market or like people that have similar interests than you, and then you kind of like hope that they follow you back, and then you do like the whole follow and follow thing. Is that something that you do, or you like search specific? I know you were saying you search like tone it up teachers and things like that, but how do you like do that?
So I never did the unfollow part because I truly feel like if you put that little seed in their brain and they don't take it right away, like just like Jamie did for me, I said no 3 times. And so I never unfollowed people because if they ever then were interested again, I would want them to still come to me and you know, message me and see my profile and see my stuff. And so I just kept it on there. But with that sheet of paper that I tracked my 50 handles, I would then put a check mark for every time we exchanged a new conversation. And then if they were interested in a group and I sent them information, I would highlight their name. And if they purchased, I would put like a big star by their name. So I just had like a tracking system on paper. Now I use Streak, but at the time I used paper. And that was my way to know, okay, I need to follow up with this girl because I highlighted her, but she never actually purchased. I need to follow up with this girl because we had great conversation, but then it kind of fizzled or I got crickets. And then if it was somebody that never responded, you know, a couple months later, because I had all my pages, I could flip back through, then I would go and unfollow. But I would keep it up for a little bit. I never really took too much time doing that part of it, but I just wanted to keep adding people. And so a lot of the time I would ask questions to engage in the affinity, you know, asking questions if people respond, because everybody wants to give you their opinion. So whether you need it or not, you ask. My hair posts, you know, what should I do with my hair, or what dress should I buy, or, you know, what puppy toys are the best? Even though if I already knew my answer, if I already purchased the dress, or if I already got my hair done, I still asked it because, you know, 100 people would comment, and then all of a sudden I'd have 100 new followers because people were seeing my stuff more and more. And so I was just trying to kind of figure out, what do my people want? You need to ask yourself, what do my followers want, and how does that tie in to my values and my beliefs? Does that help at all?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, I have a couple of technical questions.
Yes.
For me, I feel like I've just been a coach for a really long time. Most of my followers are coaches, I would assume, definitely on Facebook. When you're reaching out to 50 handles a day, do you go through and find out if they're a coach first, and how long does that take? How much time do you dedicate to that? And how do you find out?
So my philosophy is, if I don't scroll through it should take me 4 seconds to be able to scroll and figure out, are they holding a Shakeology shaker bottle? Do they have portion fixed containers? And if they are flexing or doing a lot of sweaty selfies, look at their Instagram hashtags. Are they using 21 Day Fix? Are they using, you know what I mean? So just kind of getting a really quick idea. And there were times where I would reach out to somebody and they would say they were already involved in Beachbody. Yes, it happened. And sometimes I'd get people to be like, I'm a coach. And I'm like, really? Because you need to start, you need to start showing that a little bit more if you really want to make this work. So there were moments where then I would just cross them off my list. And so yeah, it does take a little bit of time. And honestly, after I went to Diamond, there was a pretty big gap in between what happened next. I kind of fell into a little bit of a lull because I wasn't pushing as hard anymore. And any of our corporate mentors say, once you reach Diamond, that's the starting point. Then you really need to 10x your efforts because you want to find business builders. And so that really didn't happen until about, I would say, a year and a half into my business. So I was pretty content with discount coaches. I was pretty content with hobby builders because I didn't truly believe in the leader that I could become back then. I didn't think that I could quit my full-time job. I didn't think that I could be as good as Jamie or Chelsea Pearson, who is our upline. You know, I didn't believe in myself. And so with personal development, I came a long way. And I used trainings that were passed down to me to try and get my girls to believe in themselves too. And so it took about a year and a half for my business to actually start taking off. I saw success because I was able to sell challenge packs. I was able to get a lot of people interested in challenge groups. And that was because of my results from the 21 Day Fix Extreme.
I have a question. So the 50 handles that you're reaching out to every day, you're just finding that from hashtags like Tone It Up Teachers, whatever else you were using. I mean, I'm not a teacher, so I obviously will not use that. But like your niche people, like you're searching specific hashtags, obviously not Beachbody related, and you're going in and you're finding 50 people a day from there, and that's who you're connecting with every single day.
Yep.
Okay.
It sounds so basic.
Yeah, no, it does. That's why I'm like, I just want to make sure I understand this. Right?
This is my piece of advice too. So if you find yourself, so like focus on one Instagram hashtag a day, because you know your Instagram hashtag should have between 10,000 people using it. I would say about 10,000 to 50,000 is what I usually search for. If it's anywhere above 50,000, your photo is just going to get lost in the feed, so people can never find you. But focus on one hashtag a day. And then basically, if you're scrolling through and you're like, oh, she's a coach. Oh, she's a coach. Oh, she's already involved in Instagram. Oh, she has a naked picture. Like, get rid of that Instagram hashtag. Like, don't use it anymore, because that just, that goes to show you. So you kind of have to do some dirty work to be finding your niche and to be successful.
Okay. Are we unmuted?
Yeah. Okay.
All right. I was just asking Lindsay this the other day. I'm not getting any clear answers. Do you just make up the hashtag? Like, how do you find the hashtag that you want to use or that you're looking for?
Yeah. So one thing that I did at the beginning was I just made a list of everything that represented me, everything that represented my hobbies, my interests, my beliefs, my faith, and I wrote it all on a piece of paper. And then what I did is I went to the magnifying glass and I would type in faith, but that one's going to give you 1 million people using it. So then you need to be more specific. And so I would just kind of narrow it down to who I was. So I lived in the Midwest. I was in Wisconsin, Christian, like I would do golden retriever specifically instead of just fur mom. Now I use pretty generic hashtags because I'm not interested really in growing right now. That's not my focus. But if you're really looking to find new people, you need to be super specific. And so I had a list of everything that I liked and loved and described me. And I would just go through and I type it in. And if it was something that I thought worked and it had, common interests on it and people that I thought had good pictures or whatever, I added it to my list. And I have that saved in my notes section. So every time I post a picture, it's in my shortcuts. So you can put your 30 hashtags in your shortcuts. And then I just type HHH and it pops up So that was super awesome. Saves a lot of time. And then, you have to just constantly reevaluate. If you're not, I would say use those for about a month. And if you're not seeing any growth, then you need to go and do it again and just figure it out. Does that help at all?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Ashley Smith kind of talked about it on the National Wake Up Call. She does that color wheel with her coaches. She talked about a color wheel. I've never done a color wheel, but when I do my Get Started Right call with my newer coaches, I set a timer for like 3 minutes, and we all make a list of who they are, what interests them, their hobbies, morals, values, life, and so then they have that list to go and do their research and to do the work to find their hashtags. Because as a new coach, it's like, why do I didn't know what hashtags were. I didn't know the importance of it. And that truly is what connects you to other people and how people find you. I'm going to find you. It's like, yeah, okay.
When you were working full time, and did you see a lot of success in posting 6 times a day? And I started following you when I became a coach October 2016, and I have watched you grow, which has been so fun. And so kind of watch that journey, but you would post during the day. So I feel like, myself included, as well as potential future coaches that will be working full time, how did you kind of get away with that? Or did you just take a whole bunch of pictures before and then use them throughout the day? I do marketing for a living, and so I feel like I don't want my boss to be like, what you doing up there, girl? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, totally. So because I woke up at 4 a.m. to work out, I was able to post my sweaty selfie usually or like around 4:45. And you guys have to remember too, we're open now to the UK, and they're 6 hours ahead. And so time zones really mean diddly squat now. Like when people say post at 8 o'clock on a Sunday night, that's the best time to do transformation. I'm going to call bull to that, because I mean, really, what if your dream coach is scrolling at 4 o'clock on a Friday evening, and they come across your transformation? You never know who is on at a certain time. So you can't just say, I'm only going to post Monday nights at 7, this type of post. So anyway, I would do my sweaty selfie in the morning, and then right before I'd go into work, I usually would take a picture in the parking lot, in my car, in my classroom before school hours even began, because I did like to talk about being a teacher a lot, and talking to the teacher that I was tired all the time. I would relate to them and still talk about how I felt because I got my workout in already. And so I would take a picture in my classroom. We had an hour prep before students came. And so that was kind of my time again. And then I was able to post during my lunch. So I did something about meal prepping or my lunch and how I ate out of the containers. And I would take those meal prepping pictures on the weekend before, things like that. So I kind of did have to plan ahead. And then I would post, so we got out of work at 3:30, and I would post something around 4 o'clock. So now this is my 4th post, something about whatever my lifestyle type of post, or, choosing joy, because that was a big struggle for me. And then I would do some type of lifestyle post with my husband or my moose. And then I would do a nighttime call to action. And so, between 5 and 6 posts a day.
Your principal or whoever, they probably didn't follow you, or they didn't care that you were posting, like, even if it was your lunch break kind of thing?
Our lunch break was time. It was not part of our contract time.
Okay.
And so literally, like, people would leave the school building. And so in my thoughts, I was like, if I can't post a picture about my food, then, I did get called into the office twice.
Ames, did you have a decent presence on Facebook as well when you started, or?
I had my Facebook like page, but Instagram was kind of my focal point. And I saw the largest leap in followers after I posted my 21-day fixed transformation. And so that was just kind of like my go-getter. Like, on my Facebook like page, I still did my scrapbook story and posted pictures, but my first like was always my mom. And I just invited all my followers and my friends to come and support my journey. And I would, share my like page stuff onto my public profile, but that wasn't my focus. So I think you just need to find a focus. And for you, Jess, like you were amazing on Facebook like page. So everyone has their niche and their strength, I guess you could say. So Instagram was just mine at the time. And now I'm trying to kind of build my Facebook like page, but business is good on Instagram. And so if it's not broke, I don't feel like you really need to fix it.
So all those posts you were posting every day, is that stories now? You do the like 5 stories?
Yeah. So I focus more on like 3 really great posts now. Sometimes I'll do 4, sometimes I'll do 6, sometimes I'll do 2, but it really just matters on the quality instead of the quantity, I feel like now. Whereas before it was like quantity because you want your picture to show up as often as possible for people who are scrolling. And now it's like you need, well, see, then again, everybody's different. And so for my newer coaches, I still tell them to make it a goal to at least post 4 times a day, because the more you post, the more people can read about if they're actually interested and following you and want to trust you that you'll be a good coach for them. The more you post about your journey, the better. But for me right now, I don't necessarily need to continue reaching, you know what I mean?
So how many do you post? Like 8 to 9 stories a day? I follow you, Ames, but sometimes I don't count.
It's funny because some days I'll have, pretty low numbers depending on what's happening in my day. And some days I'll have like 49 stories. And it's neat now because you can see who scrolls past or who taps past. So then you kind of get an idea, you just have to kind of do your research. You have to take notes of what your insights are and what time people are watching and how many people watch that story. So I have about 14,000 people who watch my stories consistently every day. And so because of that, I don't feel like I really need to follow the rule of only doing, like Bonnie Engel at New Leadership Conference, which I got to go to because I didn't even qualify for it last year. She said how you need to stay between 10 and 13 stories. And I'm seeing success with still posting 20, but you have to make it fun. You can't be you talking in front of your story for 8 stories in a row, because people are not going to listen. It's kind of like a toddler or a kindergartner when you're giving a lesson. Like, they have an attention span so short. Same goes for Instagram. Again, something you probably already knew, but it's like, I wish I had a magical step 1, step 2. But I think the success that I've seen just came down to being consistent and being super vulnerable and always having the positive spin.
So I have a question about when you recruit a new coach, how do you get them to post on social media? Do you tell them to start an Instagram account or stick to Facebook? What do they post? Because a lot of people, I'm finding, they don't want to post. They're like, I don't want to post that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's fine. So if a coach comes to you and says that, you can say, I completely understand, girl. However, if you're telling me you want to be a stay-at-home mom and you're not willing to post, and unfortunately, you're not going to be able to help people. You're not going to be able to have those people find you to help them with their journey. And so you just have to decide, choose your hard kind of thing, quote unquote. Do you want to be vulnerable and maybe try and put yourself out there, or are you going to just stick to your gun and say you don't want to and then just not do it, but you're not going to see success? I mean, you might be able to reach out to your friends and family, but eventually you're going to want to start building your coaching story now, because I strongly feel when you're a new coach, you have to post for at least 3 months for people to be like, okay, this girl's not going away. She's getting results. She is inspiring me. Maybe I can reach out to her. Maybe if she reached out to me, I can trust her as somebody who would help me reach my goals. It's not going to happen overnight. And so if your coach is not willing to post, then they're missing out on all of that momentum moving forward. And I'm pretty honest in a loving way. I'm not good with tough love, but I'm like, okay, well, your goals say that you want to make $1,000 a week in a year from now. And if you're not willing to do these steps that I know can help you build your business, then I can't guarantee that we're going to reach those goals.
That's a great way to say it. Yeah. 'cause
Yes.
it's-
So if you do have a coach who maybe is not, savvy with posting, but they're open to posting, how do you go about that? Do you say, okay, you're a new coach, let's hit the
Yeah.
ground running, post X amount of times a day, and this is what you're going to post about? Or do you kind of just
Sometimes.
help them to share their journey type of thing?
No, because I think share your journey is way too broad for somebody who's just starting. I mean, they don't really know what that means. So in my new coach mentorship groups, I pour my soul into these girls, and it's literally like I'm going live in these groups. I'm posting training videos because these girls in this group told me that they wanted to either be hobby or business. If they wanted discount, I put them in the group, but I tell them, remove yourself if it's too much, if you're getting too many notifications, if you don't want to see these videos, take yourself out. But I want to put you in because maybe it might spark your interest. And once you start seeing results, maybe you will want to talk about it with your friends and family, and maybe you will want to make a little extra cash on the side so you could pay for your Shakeology. Talk about those things. Be completely transparent. But I tell them, okay, my top 3 photo editing apps are PicTapGo, Photo Toaster, and Facetune. So go download those 3. Okay, and that will be one little post. Comment done once you do it. And then I talk about live how to take a selfie. It might seem silly and stupid, but it's so true. Do you know how many coaches will do it in the dungeon of their basement and then it's this fuzzy, dark photo? Like, that's not a scroll stopping photo. So we talk about going in front of a window and buying a tripod on Amazon, and I'll put the link to my tripod, and, buying those little ring lights or getting light to come into your face. And then I have them send me one photo and I will help them edit it. And I talk about the powerful way of editing a photo and we practice it and we talk about it. And then I'll give them a schedule of what I did, and I give them a goal of posting 3 to 4 times a day, one workout post about not just like, yay, crushed it, day 6, go me, but instead I wanted to get up early. I couldn't get out of bed. I was frustrated with myself. And finally, I 5, 4, 3, 2, 1'd it. I got up, and my team was on Zoom, and I love my accountability. And, talk about all the struggles, because when people see you bragging about getting results and not offering anything in a return, I mean, are you inspired by that? Maybe, I don't know. But people were inspired with my struggle because I talked about how I'm not a morning person, but I needed to get up because teaching's exhausting. They knew my story all the time because I talked about it all the time. And so I say, do a workout picture, and we talk about what the workout picture should represent. Talk about your food plan. Not just look at my pretty plate of food, but I can't believe I get to eat all of this. I was starving myself before and never seeing results because I was harming my metabolism. Talk about how you're training your body now and whatever. And then some type of lifestyle post, because they need to get to know who you are. Who are you? Don't just post a picture of your dog. You need to be in the picture because you want them to remember your Instagram handle with your face, with who you represent. So I really take time with new coaches to explain all of this. And, it's bittersweet when coaches quit because you feel like you've exhausted a lot of effort with them. But 9 times out of 10, I'll have 2 rock star coaches who hit Success Starter because of the time and effort I put into their new coach mentorship. So I don't always see success, with new coaches, but then I do have happy ever afters as well. So
Amy, that's awesome. Do you run sneak peeks?
Sneak peeks. I do coaching happy hours.
Okay.
And so when I was really trying to build my business and get to elite, I ran a happy hour every week, and I run one by myself, and then I run one with my diamond leaders, or leaders, I guess, at the time. And then I run one with newer coaches. And now I just do one by myself. And that's the one that I put all people interested in throughout the month. So even if it's past my coaching happy hour, I still put them in an old group and tell them to watch the videos. And when they're done, let me know and we can chat more. But I still do happy hours with newer coaches, and I'll speak, but I don't invite any of my prospects to it just because I want them to hear my story and relate to me, make sure I'm a good fit for them. So that's just kind of my process.
So do you go live? Do you just go live and just ask them?
I just chat. So it's a Facebook group, private. They have to request in after they fill out my form. And, you know, I want to make sure they're a good fit for our team too, because I only like unicorns. And then I go live, and then after I'm done, you know, I give it about a night, and then the next day I'll contact each of them. Hey, girl, and I'll send them a voice memo on Facebook Messenger.
You do a new group every time?
Yep.
Okay.
Because you want it to feel exclusive. You want it to feel exciting. So I really build up my coaching happy hours. And then if they still want to be involved.
Yeah.
You do it via Facebook.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I really build it up for about a week before, and I say, you know, last chance to join. And I usually have about 10 people sign up from that group a month. And then I'll have people trickle in throughout the month, and I'll just add them to that group, and I'll say, watch the video, let me know when you're done. And then, you know, it's
So how many coaches are you signing a month, average?
lately averaging probably about 25.
Awesome.
Hey, about stories real quick. Are you posting all throughout the day live time, or can you post all 10 before you go to bed?
Nope, it has to be live time, I feel like, because people are not going to be on Instagram all the time. And so if you're just posting at that one pocket of time and they're not really interested in going to your story to see what you did that day, you know, you have to get to that point. It's kind of like a breadcrumb throughout the day. So if you do something exciting and you lead them on and just say like, you know, I'm so excited, and then you check in with them again, and it just, I don't know, I love just kind of giving them my story throughout the day instead of just like, bam, watch all 10 stories. Because I know my habits when I go on Instagram, what my habits are. I have the people I love to see what they're doing, and so I always check every time I go on. I'm like, oh, she has a new story, you know, and it's like exciting. So I want my followers and my coaches to feel that way towards me too.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, because it's almost dinner time for us.
Yeah,
But-
girl.
No, that's okay. I always just tell my coaches, what attracted you to my page? Why did you choose me out of 450,000 Beachbody coaches? Why did you choose me as your coach? It's not to fill up my bucket. I mean, it does, but it's nice to hear why. But I also want them to realize, okay, if that's what attracted you to my page, whether it was Moose or my clear pictures or my happy smile or whatever, then you need to remember that when you are posting, because you want it to feel good. You want it to represent you, but at the same time, you need it to be attracting people just like I did for you. So I just kind of really lay it out there. And I always make sure for newer coaches too, that they know my struggle at the beginning of this journey. So I have it all typed out. How, you know, I had to put the work forth, and no, I did not see instant success. I mean, they might look at me and Jess, you too, like 15-star diamond coach over there, and just feel like it all came to you. I mean, I talk about how hard I worked to get to this point and how rewarding it is 2.5 years later. It did not happen overnight. Just like a CEO does not become CEO after a month of coaching, you know, or a month of his CEO job. Like, it takes years, and they're usually older. So it's just like, you need to put it all into perspective. And those coaches who are frustrated and quit right away, then they're just not your lifers. And you need to keep recruiting, because when you find that one coach that has fire in her belly like you guys did, it's going to build the momentum of your other coaches who have been twiddling their thumbs for a couple months.
Do you ask them what attracted you to your page? Like, what attracted them to your page in a message, or do you have it like somewhere?
It's part of my new coach mentorship, so it's one of my posts.
Oh, in your
Yeah, so every day I try to post something in there that requires like a reflective thought and then an action step. So reflect in. Now, how are you going to apply that? I also have a coach prep school that is in thinkific.com. So it's just like a 14-day get started right type of group. And then after they finish that, then they can have their one-on-one with me. So it's a little incentive, because when you onboard 25, 30 coaches, I need to still value my time. And so the coaches who are ready to put the work forth and get that coach prep school done, and they have to send me all their answers to every question each day. Then they get that 20-minute time with me. Where before I did the getting started right call right away after they signed up, and it was like we were smiling at each other because they didn't know what to ask. And if they did ask, I'm like, oh, you'll hear about that in coach prep school. Like, now they have all the answers they should have as a new coach, and then we can talk more about their goals and how we're going to reverse engineer it to get to that point. So I do a lot for my new coach mentorships. It's exhausting, but it's so worth it.
That's so good to hear.
Yeah.
I know that is something that we've been talking a lot about this weekend. So
yeah, and I wouldn't mind sharing some of my resources if you guys are interested. All I ask is that you make it your own. What?
absolutely.
I said, we'll take anything that you want to give us. We'll take anything.
She said, "Oh my gosh, yes."
Well,
We want to respect your time too. We know you got dinner plans, and we do too, and we love you, and we're so thankful for you.
Yeah.
So thank you for taking this time.
Absolutely.
I know your family right now and stuff, so it means a lot. So
And
yeah,
I truly do hope, I mean, again, sometimes I hate doing calls like this because it's like you guys have heard, and if you watch the National Wake Up Call, like you've heard so many tips, and I just want you to remember that if you're passionate and if you continue being consistent, stop changing it every month. Like, just do your thing, and if you're doing the work, it will pay off, but you might not see it for 3 more months, right? So
yeah, exactly.
take little nuggets of everything you learn and apply what you feel is best for your brand and for your story.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, you guys, give it up for Amy.
That's so funny. Jess, how would be the best way to get some of my resources to you guys?
I'll message you my email. Okay, we'll go from there. All right. Thanks, Amy. Love you, girl.
Thank
so
you.
much. Thank
Enjoy
you.
the rest of your trip, babes.
Thanks. Say hi to your parents. All right. Have a good one.
Bye.
The awkward leave meeting.